know this thing, art imitates art, right? Like, I do believe in that, because as I was watching the Warriors and Lakers game, like, the only thing I could think of seeing LeBron and Steph go back and forth was this photo. There was only one person upset at Austin Reeves' Christmas Day game winner against the Warriors, and that person was the scriptwriter who had that shot going to LeBron. Did you see what LeBron said after the Lakers beat the Warriors? It was actually really surprising. He said, "I love the NFL, but Christmas Day is our day." And I actually loved hearing that from the face of the league, but at the same time, I'm also kind of worried, because it's like, okay, yeah, dude, the NBA obviously outplayed the NFL on Christmas Day, but like, be careful, man, because if you're not too careful, Roger Goodell is going to create an off-season tournament that's going to coincidentally take place in April, May, and June. Everybody kept saying that Mikal Bridges' jumper was broken. Well, guess what? He scored 41 points to help the Knicks beat the Spurs on Christmas Day. In your face. There hasn't been a broken jumper that's done this much damage since Tyrese Halliburton started playing against healthy teams again. Josh Hart secured 2 late offensive rebounds to help the Knicks beat the Spurs in that game, which is funny because it really doesn't matter how tall a guy like Wemby is, how much of an alien he is no match for a dude that runs on Mike and Ike's breast milk. And I talk more trash about how Wemby's 42 points, 18 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks in his Christmas debut came in a loss to the Knicks. But I'm no idiot, and I don't want to get on his bad side. Look, you could tell me you don't believe that certain NBA players and NBA teams are cursed, but like, I don't believe you, because there's only one player in the NBA today who could fall into the stands during warm-ups and hurt his ankle. And who could that possibly happen to? Oh, the person it actually happened to, Joel Embiid. Okay, so if Caleb Martin tortured the Celtics on Christmas Day and Phillies win, that could only mean one thing. He did the same thing that he did to help the Heat beat the Celtics in the 2023 Conference Finals, which means that there's a child out there who has just lost its soul. Okay, if the Nuggets couldn't even win the minutes that Jokic did play, then there is no way they had any chance of beating the Suns, which they did, right? It was like as likely as Jimmy Butler landing in Phoenix. Dallas fell behind 28 points without Luka Doncic against Minnesota on Christmas. Then they started to come back, and they almost did, but then they realized that, like, trying to win games without your best player is, like, really hard. So they lost. Okay, so in Sixers Spurs, referee ejected Andre Drummond, but then rescinded the ejection after realizing it was just a ridiculous ejection. Andre Drummond should have never been ejected. But then she actually ejected Joel Embiid for real after giving him 2 technicals. And the only thing I could think of is that I haven't seen anyone do this much damage to Sixers big men since Shaq. And funny enough, Embiid's ejection came after he started arguing with the ref. And the argument started when the ref said that she was surprised to see Embiid on the court. Cleveland versus Utah was delayed 35 minutes because of a broken rim. And the rim was broken because Jordan Clarkson swore that it was looking at him funny. Following a loss to Indiana, Jonathan Kuminga said, quote, a lot of people that are playing, if they were in my shoes, they'll quit playing basketball. Oh, wow, I did not realize being teammates with Draymond Green was that bad. After taking down the Wolves, Steph Curry called out an old fan who stole the shoes Curry originally meant to give to a kid. Yeah, but in Glenn Taylor's defense, he's still really upset that he passed on Curry, and he just wants as much memorabilia as possible. Can you really blame him? The Knicks dominated the Wolves, and Katz returned to Minnesota, where he had 32 points and 20 rebounds, while the Wolves' financial flexibility offered them a lot of interesting hypotheticals down the line. So, you know, win-win. Wemby had 10 blocks in a win over the Blazers earlier this week, and it's funny because I haven't seen that many rejections of Portland since Damon CJ tried recruiting free agents. Anthony Simons drove past Russell Westbrook to lay in a game-winning buzzer-beating floater to help Portland beat the Nuggets. And after the game, Russell Westbrook confided in the only person who has any idea what it's like to be burned by a Blazer in a game winner on their home floor. And it's a shame, really. If only the Nuggets had a quality perimeter defender, you know, someone to take on these assignments, specifically late in games, someone who has experience, championship experience, really. Like, that would just be such a nice help for them in situations like that one. In a win over Charlotte, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid played in the starting lineup for just the 4th time all season. It is so bad in Philly that even Brooklyn's big 3 was like, guys, come on, like, step it up. Why do you guys think Keon Ellis played just 5 garbage time minutes in Sacramento's loss to Indiana? My theory is that he just went into practice one day, went straight up to Mike Brown and was just like, Life in the NBA really does come at you fast when you like really think about it, because one day, you know, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray are dropping triple doubles in the NBA Finals and ultimately winning a championship. The next, they have to combine for 54 points to overcome a 17-point deficit and beat the Pelicans in overtime. You know, you would think that Cade Cunningham taking down Kevin Durant and LeBron James in back-to-back games over the weekend would get him more NBA, you know, national attention. But unfortunately, the national media is as blind as Russell Westbrook trying to figure out why he's bounced around teams so much. Cameron Johnson scored 33 points along with 10 rebounds and 6 assists in Brooklyn's win over Toronto. And after the game, he was just saying like, Lord, I've seen what you've done for Dennis Schroeder, and I'm a more attractive trade asset. Zach LaVine went for a season-high 36 points and a surprise win in Boston. And after the game, he could be heard shouting, "What more do you want from me? The funny part about that, though, was that he wasn't talking to the Bulls, he was talking to the other 29 teams. In that loss to Chicago, Joe Mazzulla appeared furious with the refs. Like, he started attacking them after that game, and it was realized after the game that, he was really mad at the refs because they said that Santa isn't real. DeAndre Hunter had an incredible poster dunk over Wemby to send Atlanta's eventual OT loss to the Spurs into overtime. And like, the really impressive part of that dunk is the fact that Hunter was able to elevate that high despite his massive nutsack weighing him down. The Mavs took on the Clippers without Luka or Kyrie. Yeah, we're just gonna have to rely on Spencer Dinwiddie. We're just gonna have to rely on, all his incredible, superb, elite talents to just bring us home and carry us home and just bring the kind of heroics that he's brought to so many games that have helped us so much over the years, said Spencer Dinwiddie. Steph Curry started 0 for 7 in Golden State's 51-point loss to Memphis earlier this week, but then just didn't take any more shots throughout the entire game. Not very Dion Waiters of him, but who am I to judge? In a win over Sacramento, Anthony Davis passed Kobe Bryant for 5th on the all-time Lakers blocks list, which somehow started riots in LA? Why? Okay, so without Jason Tatum in the lineup, the Celtics scored a season-low 104 points in a loss to Orlando, which is kind of crazy because if that means what I think it does, it means that you're saying that the Celtics are actually worse without their leading scorer, rebounder, and playmaker, and they actually play worse and the offense functions worse. That can't possibly be true, right? I mean, I'm just like, that surprises me, just as much as when I found out that Marcus Smart dealt with racist comments from Celtics fans. Ivica Zubac had 20 points, 19 rebounds, and 4 steals in a win over Memphis, and the only person who was more upset about that performance than the Grizzlies was a certain someone who benched Zubac on fantasy that night because they had to make a decision because his game was a bit later, but he was still questionable up until the start, where like another game was at 7:30, but his game was at 8, so I needed to make a decision. I just needed to make sure there was an active player. The Grizzlies beat the Hawks earlier this week, which was somehow both an NBA statement and also something I'd really love to see in a nature documentary. Jimmy Butler left Friday's loss to OKC after just 7 minutes of play due to an illness. And in this case, illness means he saw Lou Dort making dead eye contact with him and just licking his lips like, and it was just like, absolutely not, that is not my kind of freak. LeBron broke the record for most regular season minutes in a win over the Kings, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yeah, okay, that's a pretty impressive record, but like, how many minutes did it take him to do? Oh, I guess this is the one that's... Okay, so let me get this straight. The Magic beat the Heat in a game without Paolo, Franz, or Suggs. Mo Wagner went down very early in the game, and they overcame a 22-point fourth quarter deficit to still beat Miami under all those circumstances. Wow, you could say that really speaks to Orlando's culture. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.